Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed members of the Cardfight Vanguard community, today we gather to address a matter of great importance: the decks that have for far too long been overlooked and disrespected throughout the rich history of this beloved trading card game. As a dedicated player and enthusiast of Cardfight Vanguard, we must recognize the decks that have not received their rightful place in the spotlight, for they are a testament to the diversity and depth of strategic gameplay that this game offers. Let us remember and embark on a journey to appreciate and evaluate why these decks have been disrespected. Thank you for joining me, Prime Vanguard, in the second episode of The Disrespected, where buffs just aren't enough. Towards the end of the G era, new support was released, with each set to rejuvenate older decks such as Ancient Dragons, Musketeers, and Celestials. Among these decks, one of my childhood favorites was the Sealed Dragons. Despite their intriguing concept, the Sealed Dragons unfortunately failed to live up to their potential as a competitive deck in the Cardfight Vanguard universe. Several key factors contributed to their lackluster performance. The Sealed Dragons suffered from an inconsistent strategy. The core mechanic of the Sealed Dragons centered around your opponent having grade 2 rear guards and activating various abilities based on the number of grade 2s they had. However, due to previous sets, their playstyles diverged into two ways. Players could opt out to use the blockade strategy to retire your opponent's grade 2 rear guards en masse and acquire power for doing so. Or they could use the Georgette strategy, which would lock down your opponent's grade 2 rear guards, and you would gain new effects based off the number of grade 2s that you had. In a game where consistency and powerful vanguards are crucial, an unreliable strategy can be a significant liability. And despite the powerful strides for Sealed Dragons, such as Cross Origin or the other Sealed Dragon stride, the difference between the two strategies would diverge the deck in two separate ways. Moreover, the Sealed Dragons lacked the early game aggression required to keep up with more formidable decks. Cardfight Vanguard is a game where early game aggressions can set the tone for the entirety of the match. Sealed Dragons struggle to establish a commanding presence during the early game turns, which often allowed the opponents to dictate the pace of the game and apply relentless pressure. Lastly, the support for the Sealed Dragons was at times underwhelming and inadequate. While a predominant amount of the support was extremely powerful, as well as giving us great resource management, in Cardfight Vanguard, a deck's strength often depends on the quality and frequency of support from new card sets. And unfortunately, Sealed Dragons did not receive the support necessary to make them a competitive force. This lack of meaningful support left the deck in a perpetual state of underperformance, as it couldn't keep up with the newer, more powerful archetypes. The Sealed Dragons, while one of my childhood favorites, suffered from an inconsistent strategy, a lack of early game aggression, and insufficient support to make them a viable choice in the competitive Cardfight Vanguard scene. While the deck was intriguing, in the G era of Cardfight Vanguard, it ultimately fell short of achieving competitive success. Great Nature, since its introduction of Set 8 of Cardfight Vanguard, is regarded as one of the most complex and unique clans in the game. The Honorary Professor archetype within the Great Nature clan in Cardfight Vanguard, renowned for its glass cannon playstyle and two unique mechanics, faced significant challenges when its highly anticipated new support was introduced. Unfortunately, this support turned out to be underwhelming, failing to provide the much needed boost for the deck to succeed. Disheartened players watched as the Honorary Professor deck was compelled to adapt and change its playstyle not once, but twice in the search for competitiveness. It is crucial to acknowledge that Honorary Professor Chat Noir was indeed a powerful and influential card during its heyday, leaving a lasting impact within the deck's history. And the amazing combos and potential plays that the Honorary Professor deck can make are noted, but unfortunately, it is not enough to get them to the competitive viability that they needed during the G-era format of Cardfight Vanguard. In the Vanguard universe, archetypes are stronger when they have solid support with the same name. We have seen many decks sharing names and identities working extremely well within their own archetype or that deck its own form of unique play and support. One deck that had a unique strategy for its clan but underwhelming support despite the amount of support that it received is Blue Wave. Hopes were high that this support would address Blue Wave Martial Valios gave many Aquaforce players hopes, and with their hopes high, and the new support would address the deck's notorious problems, including poor resource management, power struggling, and combo plays, but unfortunately, it turned out to be underwhelming and fell short of expectations. Limit Break, Break Ride, and G-era Vanguard all had their ups and downs, but one era of Vanguard, relatively new, has been struggling very hard with these next two decks. Once a powerhouse of dark states and the face of his nation, Master of Gravity Barel Magnus has fallen desperately from grace. Master of Gravity Barel Magnus, once a formidable force within the powerful Dark States nation of Cardfight Vanguard, found itself facing an uphill battle. The deck had earned a reputation as a glass cannon, relying on explosive plays and unique effects to succeed. However, the introduction of new support left many players disappointed, as the deck continues to get more and more generic support that unfortunately is underwhelming. Dark States had long been known for its unique effects and powerful abilities, which had initially made Barel Magnus a standout deck. Extreme soul charging, resource management, as well as plenty of battle door effects were available to Barel Magnus during different periods of the game. However, despite its once potent capabilities, the deck struggled to maintain its competitiveness as it received more generic support that failed to enhance its distinct playstyle. The unique essence that once defined Barel Magnus within the Dark States nation seemed to have been diluted, highlighting the challenges of maintaining a niche's deck identity within a diverse and evolving Cardfight Vanguard metagame. Barel Magnus, you will be missed. The standard format is currently one of the most popular formats of Cardfight Vanguard, and many players have taken the opportunity to explore a variety of different decks. With over 30 ride lines in the game, and many different nations, as well as sub-archetypes, and even revival decks called encounters, there are many unique strategies that you can go to play in this game. However, one deck that continues to receive waves of support, Bushiro promo support, as well as independent promo support, will continue to fail over and over again. The hero that since his birth has failed at everything that has come towards him is Heavy Artillery of Duststorm Eugene. Heavy Artillery of Duststorm Eugene is one of the original new ride lines, and like his companions Barel Magnus, Hexa Orb, Zorga, and Orphis, who have all received some form of relatively good support, unfortunately, Eugene has not had this success. Heavy Artillery of Duststorm Eugene was a deck that faced significant challenges within the realm of Cardfight Vanguard overdress. Known for its glass cannon playstyle, slow retire, as well as a deck requiring a lot of setup, Eugene has failed at every single set of Vanguard with new support. The deck had always struggled to establish itself as a prominent contender. Unfortunately, due to the deck's inherent weakness, coupled with its reliance on Eugene's unique abilities, made it a challenging choice for competitive play. With the introduction of new support, there was hope for a turnaround. However, this optimism quickly waned as the new support proved to be underwhelming, consisting mainly of generic additions that did little to address the deck's fundamental issues. With over 20 cards of Eugene direct and indirect support, their hope for this deck is very little to none. The deck's competitive prospects to this day remain lackluster, and it became evident that without a significant and innovative card, Heavy Artillery of Duststorm Eugene would continue to be a subpar choice in the ever-evolving world of Cardfight Vanguard. A deck that has been disrespected in terms of new support, in terms of new card design, is without a doubt Dream Spinning Ranunculus Asha. Dream Spinning Ranunculus Asha, once a prominent deck within the G era of Cardfight Vanguard, with its powerful recycling plays, combo plays, and unique game plan, once a powerful deck within a different era, in the V format era, it was a disappointment. In the beginning, this was not the case. With the introduction of her comrades, Chronojet Dragon, and Altmile, Asha was in a really good position. The deck introduced a unique strategy of being a completely Vanguard-centric deck that used the rush style of the plant tokens in the early game to then pressure your opponents in the late game with her Asha Flower Fairy tokens. Because the deck was not phased by control decks and could easily generate a board, Asha was not taken back by Messiah or Blade Master when it dominated the metagame. Unfortunately, however, despite receiving 3 Bushiroad exclusive promo support cards, reprints to her main deck cards, as well as having, generally speaking, a very unique, powerful, and consistent playstyle, this deck has fallen heavily from grace. Dream Spinning Ranunculus Asha has not received the support that she needs. While getting all these exclusive promo supports that have been taken away from decks that could take more use of those slots than her, Asha has been devastatingly disrespected within her era of Vanguard. While she may have no place in the metagame of the current V Premium format, her influence on the game, as well as her loyal fanbase, will always be remembered in the Cardfight Vanguard universe. The trading card game, Cardfight Vanguard, has existed for over a decade, and with every new set or generation that passes, there will always be winners and losers. And in today's episode, I wanted to feature the decks that have received numerous amounts of support and opportunities to fly high within the metagame of Cardfight Vanguard. But despite their waves of support, as well as exclusive promo support, it could not take them to the next level. Honoring these decks and understanding the flaws that they had could hopefully give us the direction and the guidance we need to create proper support for the next generation. I am your host, Prime Vanguard, and thank you so much for staying tuned with me in today's episode of The Disrespected, where the buffs just weren't enough.